In the rain, in other words, you want to probably stand up just a little bit taller, increase your stroke frequency, and skate from the hips down. Y'all know what a metronome is, right? On top of your grandma's piano. If you can imagine that as a skater, you are a metronome from your hips down, this is where you get all your power. And similarly, uphills, you really want to work it with your hips, and you'll see that you can increase your stroke frequency that way, and also you can drive better through the heels. Very important to push through the heels, and certainly when you're going uphill, you want to do everything that you do well on the straightaway, only better. You want to, in other words, point your skate straight up the hill when you set it down. When you land your skate, you don't want it to be open-faced like a duck, because you'll go off in that direction each time. You want it to be pointing straight ahead, so you can describe the beeline. And I like to think of drawing an imaginary line up that hill and setting my heels on the line. You heard of the expression towing the line before, right? Well, here, instead of towing the line, we're going to be heeling the line. And you can set those heels on the line each time, and it'll get you up the hill much faster. So again, you're going to be playing with, like a bicycle, we have gears on our skates. We can decide how much power we want to apply to each stroke and how many strokes we want to take per unit of time. So if you can just dial it up and adjust for a hill, you'll notice that you're going to be taking more pushes, but you're not going to be pushing quite as hard each time. And that'll get you up the hill much better. You won't be lugging it or winding out. Yeah. Who else has a question about tomorrow? I see one over there. If you have a ticket to one of the parks, you can go into the park and watch your family skate by. Otherwise, the start-finish line is a wonderful place to congregate because people will be there. And as soon as the last people have started, then the first people during their first lap will be coming through. So pretty much all day you'll be able to stand there and see people coming through. Do you have a question? Yeah. Question. Okay. So many other things that you can do in order to be a great skater. In order to get through this race, you need to rely on teammates. And teammates don't necessarily need to be wearing the same uniform as you, but teammates will offer you help and support. And drafting, if you get behind someone, then you are going to be saving at least 20%, maybe even 30% of your energy. So that's a good reason to make friends with someone during the race tomorrow. Even if you've never skated with them before and you think that you might be competing with them for the final sprint, you still want to be friends with them until that finish line draws near, because you cannot get by without help from your friends. You know that. You know that. So definitely draft, and you can work out some sort of arrangement. Say, hey, I'll take 20 pushes, and then it's your turn to take a pull. Yeah, and if someone is too tired back there, then you give them a little break. In fact, the first race that I won in Holland, it took me 6 years, mind you, of constant punishment. I'd go there every summer, and I'd finish 80th place, 92nd place, and just feel so dejected. Yeah, and have to feel like I was going to have to start over again. But anyway, you keep racing, keep racing, keep racing. You slowly start moving up through the ranks, and pretty soon you're going to be there. Well, one race that I got off on a breakaway with 3 guys, René Rautenberg, who was the national champion that year on the ice and on the inlines, and Albert de Boer, who's Albert the farmer, and myself. We were out on a 3-man breakaway. We were pretty strong. We were about a minute to a minute and a half out in front of the pack. So they weren't even, we couldn't even see them. They were gone, out of sight, out of mind. So they weren't chasing us. We were working really well together, cycling through. Everybody spending about 30 to 45 seconds in the front before peeling off. And when you peel off and let someone else take your place, don't stop skating. Because if you peel off and let the people come up and you stop skating, they're going to go flying by, and you're going to find it so difficult to jump onto the back of the pack. Yeah? So you have to keep skating once they go by, and then you can tuck into the back. But anyway, during this race, here we were all working well together, and all of a sudden, I just had nothing left, and I wanted nothing more than to just go back into the shelter of the pack and draft, and suck wheel, so to speak. Yes? And these guys would not let me. They said, no, je mag wel blijven resten een beetje, maar je moet wel blijven oefenen. So they said, you can stop for a second and take a little rest, but after you get back in there, and you're going to help us again. So they let me rest for a few minutes, so just the two of them were taking their turns. And pretty soon, lo and behold, I started to get my strength back, and I was back participating with them. So that's what teamwork is all about too, because they realized that without me, they weren't as strong, just the two of them. Yeah, strength in numbers. But frequently, if you can get a good cooperative, mutually cooperative group going, you'll find that you have a better time and easier time staying out in front than the pack behind, because the pack behind is usually indecisive about who's going to pull now, who's going to pull, well, I think I'll just stand up. And then when that standing up takes place, it's contagious. It's like a yawn. One person stands up, everybody stands up. Yeah? So when you can get off and start working together, and I guess the gentleman who asked the question isn't even here anymore, if you can work as a group, then you will have a much better time. I know that it's so lonely to skate all by your lonesome. Yeah, all by your lonesome. When you have someone else to skate with, you can take your mind off the things, and you have a much better time. Any other questions? Over here. Yes, this is my setup here. This is my setup. I love them. It's like being in a big gear on your bicycle, but unlike being locked into a big gear, you can just lift up your feet and get much higher foot speed this way. So I'm loving these. I've been on the 100 millimeters for almost 2 years now. Yeah. I did. Yeah. So we're all here because we're in a unique situation. We're all here because we want to get more fit, I imagine. And remember, it's not just a question of fitness and strength, but it's a question of balance and timing. You should all remember that. First and foremost, it's not how strong you are, it's how good your timing is. Because in Holland, you see many skaters who have rail-thin legs. Nail-thin, they actually call them spijkerbenen, which means nail legs. And those guys can skate like the dickens. Because like Ogle, they're very skinny, but they have a sense of timing. And if you can get that timing and work your hips and the fall into your skating, you'll notice that all of a sudden you go much farther, much faster, with less effort. And that's kind of what it's all about. That's all what we're after. We're after that speed, free speed. And if you can use your hips, then you can get free speed. So this is doable for everybody, this race. I know it. Remember, treat it like a fairy tale, beginning, middle, and go off a little easier than you know you're capable of, and finish up strongly. So thank you very much. Thank you to the Double ISA for bringing me out here today. Take a chance to go through Inline Alley if you can. There are lots of fun things to look out. And all the manufacturers are out here on equal footing. So give them all a shout. And thank you all. And have a great race tomorrow.